Doctors, are you attractive to your patients? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by Katz Consultants and Chiro Health USA. Your hosts today are Dr. Troy Fox. Troy, good to see you. And myself, Dr. Michael Perusich. Troy, you brought this up pre-studio today about this whole idea that the kinds of patients that we bring into the practice, and I'm going to let you expound on it here in a second, but the kind of patients that we bring into our practice are the kinds of patients that are attracted to us, not because we're good looking, but we are. But anyway, it's that law of attraction that we all know about. And whatever you put out in the universe is what you attract back in. It's really a cool phenomenon. So tell everybody what Bridget told you today.
Yeah, first things first, Bridget's always right about everything. And so first thing Bridget said is every chiropractor out there needs to shave their head bald and buy some self-tanner to look more like me. No. So here's what Bridget said. She said, you need to quit dwelling on those patients that quit you, because sometimes they quit you for a very good reason.
Yeah.
They weren't a good fit for you in your practice. So you may have a practice where maybe you're doing insurance and maybe you spend a ton of time with adjustment, soft tissue treatment, rehab. Maybe you're doing all that stuff and you've got a high value per visit client base. Or maybe you're like me and you're a cash practice, which we have a low value per patient base, but we see more patients in an hour. And the type of patients that are attracted to me are twofold. Number one, those that understand why they're getting chiropractic care. Number two, those that value time rather than my time. In other words, they value their time in getting an adjustment and getting out the door to get on with their day. And they're actually very thankful that I'm on time and that I only take a few minutes to adjust them. They don't want to be in there for 30 minutes with me because that's the type of patient I've attracted. So I attract that type of patient into my practice. And as a result, I run a little bit higher volume, but I run a lower cost per patient. And so the value is the same as if I spent 30 minutes with the patient. And so patients tend to attract to that kind of thing if that's what they want. Now, I had a patient the other day quit me, and this is how this discussion started. Why did they quit me? She said, well, she's a female and she felt like she was not heard. And I laughed because I was like, I remember the visit and I remember her talking to me and it going on forever. It was not about chiropractic. It wasn't about anything important. And it was the same thing she does every time she comes in, strikes up a conversation and wants to have an in-depth conversation about something that I have no marketable service to her. I'm just giving free advice and I don't have time for that. And so I tried to be cordial, but at the same time, I'm not going to entertain a 15 or 20-minute conversation. So what happened is I probably stood the table up and stood beside the table and waited for her to get on said table so I could lay her down, or at least hit the button so it would start down so I could open her note and get going. And what she saw it as, I don't feel heard. He's ignoring me. He just wants me to get on the table. You know what? There's some truth to that. And so I did not attract her. I repelled her. So that's my story. And there's a lot like that. I have patients that absolutely love me because of the way that I practice. And there are patients that you could pull the town that I'm in. And there are patients that would say, I'd never go to that guy.
Sure.
Didn't listen to me.
I figured maybe you sent her on her way because you didn't use your self-tanner that day.
Exactly. My head was too wide.
And this happens to all of us. And in the beginning of practice, you want every spine you can get coming in the door. But as time goes by, after a year or two, you should be really zeroing in on who is my client base, who's my patient base, who do I want to attract? And you always want to try to attract like-minded people. And you just touched on it. In your practice, you want to attract people who find time to be a valuable commodity. And they don't want to come in for a 30-minute visit. They want to come in for a 10-minute visit. And that's great. And my practice was the same way. And so I didn't attract that patient that wanted an hour-long session either. Just didn't happen. And every once in a while you get one and you can just feel it.
Oh yeah.
And try as you might, you're never going to develop a good relationship with that person. And so Bridget's, you're better off to let that patient go and allow them to find the place where they are attracted to, where they are magnetized to, rather than being repelled in our business.
Yeah,
And
and a lot of you guys are in metropolitan areas, and the type of patient that we're attracting in our practice is they're your corporate go-getter types,
yeah,
fast movers, and I
right,
love fast movers. They're also very smart. They make educated decisions quickly, and they're like, "Let's go."
right.
Money is usually not the object, time is the object. That's
Mhm.
the type of patient I like to have in my practice. And you'd be amazed how many women are patients of mine because there are so many women in corporate America that are such really good decision makers. Sorry, guys, but I honestly think women do a better job in a lot of cases.
Way
I
better.
think men learn to be communicators and decision makers, but women are born with it.
Yeah, they really are. They're
They
born leaders.
really are.
But and the flip of this is true as well. If you're a practitioner who does a 30-minute session or an hour-long session with patients, we're not telling you one is better than the other. Just because we practice one way, it doesn't mean you can't make it work another way. That's great. So if you're that practitioner that does 30-minute appointments, you're not going to want to try to attract the person that wants to come in, get adjusted, and is right back in their car in 5 minutes. That's not going to be a good fit for you. And there's other things. There's not just time, there's conditions. What conditions do you not like treating? Because if you're trying to treat something, mine was knees. For whatever reason, I just never liked knees. I'm not sure what God was thinking when he stuck two bones together, said, let's put all your weight on it, and we're going to hold it together by 4 rubber bands. I don't know. Just didn't make sense. But
Thank God it wasn't spines that you don't like treating.
that might have been an issue. That
Yeah.
might have been an issue. So most of my knees, I referred to other providers because I learned early on that because I didn't like them, I wasn't doing a good job. And so I was literally repelling those patients away from the practice. And what happens when you repel somebody? Oftentimes they might go out and they might say some bad things about you. They're probably not going to have good press about you. So we want to make sure that we're constantly thinking about what could this patient be saying about me out in the public? And if we're not attracting the right person, the right condition, whatever it might be, then we're going to be creating a lot of repellent and it's going to get out in the community and you're going to lose your reputation.
Now you're always going to have a few people, so
Always.
don't freak out because you're going to have a few people that are, and I will say they are vehement detractors. There will be a few that are vehement detractors.
Yeah.
And they will tell everyone within reach, don't use this guy or gal.
Yep,
And
it happens.
it's painful. And the problem is, I know who my detractor is, and that person is responsible for where they are at, but they want to lay the blame on me. And the problem is when you're diabetic, you're overweight, you have bad knees, you think that you can hand yourself to me like a VCR and I'm going to fix you because that's how old this person is, their VCR age. They're old enough that, but they're also old enough and smart enough to realize it's their body and they have to take some responsibility for it. But that didn't seem to matter in this case. So guess what? I'm stuck with it. I'm
Yeah.
stuck with it and they are where they're at. So sometimes as a repellent, but here's the thing, realize this. If you repel one or two people that squawk really loud about you, they're probably squawking really loud about their least favorite fast food restaurant, their least favorite dentist, their least favorite optometrist,
And some people are just that way.
and the pastor of the church that they go to. And everybody hears it and goes, oh my gosh, they're at it again. And
Yeah.
guess what? The people that heard them say that go, oh, Fox? Oh, I'll give him a call then once they hear.
Yeah.
Literally,
So it has the opposite effect.
I've had people say, oh, I go to church with so, and that's that person. And
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. So it's when they say any press is good press,
Right.
sometimes that's very true. Even though this person's talking smack on Facebook in a group, the thing is within that, when she says, hey, I wouldn't use this individual, unfortunately, the people that go to her church are hearing my name and they're calling me.
Yeah. Hey, we got to take a quick break. Excuse me. We got to take a quick break. Hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back, but I'm going to tell a couple of stories when we come back. So we'll be right back. Hang in there.
In today's economy, every dollar counts. Families are facing tough choices, having to reconsider what was once essential to them, But when it comes to healthcare, no one should have to compromise on their well-being because of financial constraints. That's where ChiroHealth USA steps in, the solution for your practice. We understand the financial pressures families are under, whether they're insured, on Medicare, or paying out of pocket for treatment. By offering discounts on care, you can ensure that your patients can still afford the treatment they need. At ChiroHealth USA, we're committed to making sure no family has to sacrifice their health due to financial hardship. We'll work with you to create a game plan that keeps your waiting room full and your practice thriving. And here's the best part. Offering affordable care not only benefits your patients, but also positively impacts your bottom line. So why wait? Join ChiroHealth USA today and join the ranks of the most successful practices. Because when you put your patients first, everyone wins.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. We're talking about the law of attraction in your practice. And we're talking about the fact that sometimes we can actually repel people out of the practice and not be very attractive to some people. And there are different reasons for that. But you mentioned something that jogged my memory. You said, don't worry about it. We are going to repel some people. So
Yeah.
I had a boss one time. This is back in my investment banking days. I had a boss who always said, if you're not making somebody mad, you're not doing your job.
Yep.
And all he meant by that, he didn't mean go out and make everybody mad. He meant you got to always be pushing the envelope just a little bit. And we talk about that sometimes. You got to push that envelope a little bit. And so I had a patient one time. I thought she was going to be this sweet little old lady, but man, when she opened her mouth, it was like nails and barbs and darts and things that came out of her mouth. And she was just meaner than a wet snake.
Right.
And one day she called me a used car salesman. And she caught me so off guard. And I was like, I don't even know what to think about that. And I thought about it the entire rest of the day. And I guarantee you it affected every patient encounter I had for the rest of the day. So if somebody says something silly to you like that, don't wear it around all day or all week. But I went home that night and I'm like, all right, she's coming back in tomorrow. I'm going to approach this differently. And I started talking and my usual table talk. And I started talking. She said, nope, there it is again. You're just a used car salesman. And I said, okay, time out. Why are you calling me a used car salesman? Because I came in here to get adjusted and all you want to do is talk about getting adjusted. Like, okay. Word to the wise. Sometimes we have to learn who our patients are before we know if we're going to be attractive to them.
Yeah. And you at times when you're trying to talk the talk, I had a patient look at me and he goes literally the same, almost the same type of thing. So he didn't call me a used car salesman, but he said, I came in here today and I'm really hurting. Could you quit talking and just adjust me? And here I am trying to convince the guy about what kind of care that he needs. And what he really needs is for me to adjust him because he's hurting.
Right.
And I didn't read the signals right. So I righted the ship on that one and everything was good. Here's one I didn't write the ship on, and you've heard this one before. So I had a gal that came in, low back pain. She's been to a couple of the chiropractors, not gotten any results. Can you help me? We can try. I'm going to put you on a short treatment schedule and we're going to start working with you. I do. She starts improving. I'm like, fantastic. I'm thinking I'm a rock star, right? Because where other people failed, I succeeded. Not to trample the heads of any other chiropractor, because guess what? There have been people that have succeeded where I've failed at times too. We all adjust a little bit differently. And thank God what I did was helpful. So
hey, in your own clinic, you're the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm working with her. She's getting better. It's great. I'm on like visit 3 or 4. Next thing I know, phone call. And this is like my 4th year in practice. I hadn't been at it very long, but I was seeing a large volume of patients, thought I was somewhat important, right? Phone call. I'm not coming back in there, she says. And our staff is, but what's going on? Is there something that we've done wrong? No, I have a friend that told me that if I get adjusted more than one time, that whoever's adjusting me is basically a shyster. That's not the word she used. And my staff goes, weren't you getting better and you didn't get better with the other chiropractors? Yeah, but my friend says that I only need to be adjusted one time. So literally this turns into kind of she brings a check in because the girls finally said, this is back when we still carried people's balances. The girls said, you need to bring us money, then you need to pay off our account. So what she does is she brings her money in and she writes in the memo, con job. So
I do remember this story.
I wasn't in the mood for it. So I said, give me that check. So I walked back to my office and I called her directly and basically I said, hey, I got your check today. Appreciate it, but that won't be necessary. And I start tearing it up over the phone. She said, what are you doing? I said, you wrote con job on the memo. I said, I don't need your money. I was trying to get you better and I was trying to help you. And irregardless of the fact that your friend thinks I only, so here's the moral of the story. You're going to have people that are going to listen to their friend that knows 1/1,000,000th of what you do about how the human nervous system works. And they're going to believe them.
Yep.
Relatability, and they're close to them, right? You're not going to win that battle. So when that happens, guess what? The laws of attraction just flew by like a seagull and pooped on you. And it's going to happen. So if any of you, have you ever been pooped on by a bird?
Actually, yes, I got a great story about that.
So I have too. I was driving. This bird nailed me while I was going 30 miles an hour with my arm hanging out the window and pooped on my elbow. What an accurate pooper. But anyway, how cool is that he hit me from 100 foot in the air with me going 30 miles an hour?
It's law of attraction. The bird was attracted to you.
It is. He was attracted. And other times you attract just poop, right? And that one was just poop. And it wasn't going to turn out any better than it did. And quite frankly, me tearing up her check probably mitigated her talking a bunch of trash on me, but it didn't stop the situation from being one where I gave away free services because I tore her check up and basically gave her free care. You got to make your decision and draw your battle lines. So let's hear your bird poop story first.
Okay. So I was speaking at a big chiropractic event in Vancouver, and Joe was with me. So it was a long time ago. And it was like an ACA event or something. And anyway, they oftentimes take the speakers and the dignitaries out to dinner. And we were at this beautiful seafood restaurant right on the edge of the wharf. So we're sitting out over the water. It's Vancouver. It's chilly at night. And so they had all the big umbrella heaters out there. And there were seagulls flying around.
Right.
And all of a sudden I'm watching the seagull out of the corner of my eye, and he goes to land on one of the heaters. And no more than his poor feet touch that, and he starts squawking.
Oh no.
And let go of everything he had in him. All over me, all over Joe, all over our dinner.
Oh no.
And apparently it must have happened. It must happen a lot because the wait staff comes running over, the manager comes running over. They're cleaning everything up immediately. Paid to have my suit dry cleaned, and
my God.
it was all good, but it was definitely wasn't hungry after that.
I have nothing to even come close to rivaling that. That could be the best story. I could visualize the bird sizzle on his little feet, and
you heard them sizzle. It was really dramatic.
And we think our lives suck.
Really?
It was dramatic.
Right.
We
It
think
was
our lives suck when we lose a patient. That bird burnt his feet off.
Yeah. And so you're going to have in practice, I'm going to draw an analogy here. You're going to have in practice, you're going to have seagulls fly in thinking that you're the place to land, and they're just going to wind up possibly just pooping all over you. And so we have to try to identify those situations as quickly as we can. And you'll have other scenarios. Like I had this one patient, love her to death. She was a sweet person.
Pat's Chiropractic Consultants, your partner in chiropractic success. We are dedicated with one-on-one guidance to bring you all your practice management needs. Let's supercharge your practice. Give us a call today.
But wow, could she talk? And like you, I've got this very fast-paced practice, and I've got 6 minutes to turn this patient, but she wants to talk for 20. And so I had to train my staff. I'll give Marissa credit here. Marissa trained our staff to interject when I had a patient like that with, hey, doc, I have an emergency I need you to take care of. Hey, doc, there's a radiologist on the telephone. I need you to take this call real quick, or something to disengage me from the patient. And so by good fortune, this is a patient that would come in every week. And she really probably shouldn't have been part of the practice because she wasn't our kind of patient, but she was so nice and she came every week. And I don't think she ever caught on to the fact that we were actually dragging me out of the room every time she came in.
And if she doesn't figure that out, then she could be a fit for the practice. You ought to mix it up every once in a while and say the POTUS is on the phone. Yeah, every once in a while. Can't be a radiologist every time, or she's going to start worrying that either you have cancer or every patient of yours has cancer.
Or doc, there's a restaurant in Vancouver on the phone. They have a question about a seagull.
There you go. Definitely, this is a topic that I think hits most chiropractic families.
And we definitely need to take another break, but I want to come back and I want to talk a little bit about how you create this and how that law of attraction really can play to your benefit in your practice. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we are back. You're listening to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. We're talking about the law of attraction and how it affects the chiropractic practice. And Troy, I may have cut you off, so if I did, jump in there with whatever
No,
you
I
want to
was
say.
just going to say this affects families as well. So if you guys are listening to this today, guys or gals, and you're listening to this today, I think this is a good one for your spouse or your family members to listen to as well, to gain a greater understanding of where your headspace is. Because sometimes spouses get it. Sometimes they're like, I don't like to see my husband or wife talk badly about. And other times, if they're not involved in the practice, they just wonder why you're grouchy or sad when you came home. And sometimes you carry things out of there. So I think it's a good one for families to listen to as well, because it impacts the attitude in the whole household.
Yeah, you know what Joe's response was when I told her the patient called me a used car salesman?
Right?
She said, quit acting like one.
Exactly. There you go.
Thanks. That's spousal support.
That's right.
So if you guys out there, if you're familiar with the law of attraction, if you're not, there's some great videos and things out there about it. I highly recommend that you watch it because it's really an interesting concept. And whether it's metaphysical or God-given, whatever it is, it works. And law of attraction only works for you, though, if you're thinking about it in a positive way. So you have to know, again, I said this earlier, you have to know who you want to attract. You have to know what kind of conditions you want to attract. If you're a pediatric practice, you probably don't want a bunch of retired people coming into the practice. That's just not the right approach. So you have to really drill down, and then you have to really know your direction. You have to think about it, and you have to think daily about the kind of patient you want. And so how do we figure that out? Part of it's just our personal choice of the kinds of patients we want to work with, but we have to put that energy out into the universe. And so I'll charge you with the idea of thinking about every patient that comes in. Think about, who are they? Why are they in your practice? Why are they attracted to you? And why are you attracted to them? What do they like about your practice? And when you get some of those ideas in your mind about why current patients are coming in and why they're great patients, then you will start attracting those same kind of patients.
I think in addition to that as well, there's another component we add into this. Once you've stepped down and done this yourself, the next staff meeting, I challenge you to ask your staff. Ask your staff during the staff meeting.
We're not telling you to be violent.
Right. Ask your staff at the next staff meeting what type of patient you guys attract into the practice and why.
Get them involved.
And what are we trying to attract as a group? Because as a group, if you guys are focused on that, when you have that minute in the morning where you have a little powwow in the morning and the afternoon, it's always good to remember, hey, this is the type of people we're trying to attract today, or what's going on with this patient? Okay, this patient I think may not be a fit for our practice, and here's why. Let's keep an eye on this. So you have to know what type of patient when you attract, but I think you also want to involve your staff in that as well in the long run. Now, initially, you may want to sit down and think your way through it.
Right.
But eventually you want to get staff involved.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because our staff a lot of times sees things that we don't see. And I can promise you from here to zero that they're going to have some great ideas about that. And they're part of the reason why patients are attracted to your practice.
100%, because there may be a dual component. You may be running a really fast regimen in adjustment, but you may have a sweet as honey therapist that is talking to the patients and just killing them with kindness on their way into therapy. And she's with them for 15 minutes.
Right.
You're only with them for 6. So you may find that the rest of your team actually is the reason patients come and has nothing or very little to do with you. Sometimes it's true. Sorry to tell you that, guys and gals, but it is true.
I think that was true in my practice.
Yeah.
My staff built amazing relationships, lifelong relationships with patients. And
Yes.
when I sold the practice and moved out of town, patients were still calling my staff and asking them questions and things. We have to give our staff a lot of credit for how great our practices are,
Yeah.
because they're a big reason for that. So utilize that law of attraction in your practice and believe in it and take action on it, because it does require action. And you can use the law of attraction on a whole bunch of different things. Reactivations is a great one. When you go and you run that report of who hasn't been in for a while and you're going through it, be intentional. Sit down with your staff and be intentional. Stop on every single patient name, say them out loud, get that energy out in the universe. And it's weird. And I know you guys know this out there. When you do that, sometimes the patient will pick up the phone and call you.
We just did that this week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's amazing. Like we just went through all of our list and we culled the list to see if there's anybody we need to put in active, who had we missed on that thing. And then we went through and we actually were doing a little reactivation drive. And I'll be darned if we're not getting quite a few phone calls. Phone's been lighting up all morning long. Bridget just told me this morning, and this is no joke, but it's all people that we just went through on the list.
Yeah.
It's
that crazy.
Insane. It blows my mind how this universe works. Sometimes it doesn't make logical sense, but it works the same every single time. So
Yep.
you understand it, believe it, you're intentional about what you're doing when you're going through your list.
Yep.
For some reason, it just happens. And I don't know why, and I can't answer that question, but I know that if you want some reacts, go through your list of patients that you haven't seen in a while and watch what happens.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you can use the law of attraction for your patients. You can use it for different conditions that you want to see. Maybe you want to build your sports rehab side of your practice. Start thinking about sports rehab and it'll happen. You can maybe have a goal to increase your collections this year. Put that out in the universe. Use that law of attraction for it. So you can use it for anything. Maybe you're looking for a new staff member or an associate doctor. Put that energy out there so you get the right one. So you can use that law of attraction in a lot of ways to really help grow your practice.
Yeah. And you really don't have to shave your head bald, but it helps.
Yeah, I didn't do that. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure to check us out at katzconsultants.com. See all the great things that we're doing for doctors to help them find success and use their practices to build wealth and profit into their lives. Go check us out. There's some free things out there. If you want to jump on a call with us on our website, there's a button at the very top. It says, let's chat. You can jump on my calendar or Marissa's calendar and let's just talk about your practice. Let's find out if we can help you in some way.
Yeah.
All right.
If you have any questions or you want a question answered, or there's a topic you'd like us to discuss, Troy at katzconsultants.com, Troy at katzconsultants.com. Get a hold of us.
Yep, please do. All right, everybody, like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning into the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. It's because of you guys listening every week that we're growing like crazy. So keep it up. We appreciate all of you. All right, from all of us here at Katz Consultants, we'll see you next time.
See ya.